Hey guys, in this video, I want to give you a complete guide to all of the clinically proven benefits of ashwagandha. If you're familiar with our channel, then you know we love ashwagandha. It's one of our favorite herbs to talk about, and we have a lot of different videos here on the channel. And for good reasons. Not only is it one of the most revered and well-renowned herbs in Ayurvedic medicine or ancient Indian medicine, it is one of the most well-documented and well-studied herbs of today, which makes it a very unique herb and all that more valuable. And although we have a couple of different videos here on the channel and we cover its medicinal benefits and uses quite extensively, in this particular video, what I'd like to do is try to give you a complete guide to all of ashwagandha's traditional benefits and back all those traditional claims with modern day research or clinical evidence. So to waste no time, let's get right to it and talk about ashwagandha's claim to fame benefit. Perhaps its most well-known benefit, as well as the major reason that people tend to take ashwagandha, which is its anti-stress effects. Now, ashwagandha has three primary active or chemical constituents that give it its primary anti-stress effects. And those are primarily alkaloids, saponins, and steroidal lactones. And these are the chemicals responsible for ashwagandha's anti-stress effect. And there's a couple of different clinical studies that go to verify its adaptogenic-like effect and its ability to increase your body's resilience to stress. So on the physiological end, there's studies like this, where basically mice or rats were supplemented with about 100 milligrams of oral ashwagandha extract prior to swimming-induced stress, so exercise-induced stress. And what they found was that the mice or rats who were supplemented with ashwagandha prior to exercise had no adrenal activity in response to the exercise. So basically, they measured the things like vitamin C and cortisol levels in the adrenals and found that there was no activation of either the stress hormone or the vitamin C, which is usually used up during stress. So basically, they concluded that ashwagandha can increase your body's biological resistance or resilience to stress. Because typically what can happen during exercise is a stress response, which is then going to increase adrenal activity, secreting things like cortisol, which down the line can be very detrimental to the health of your body. Cortisol is very catabolistic and damaging when chronically produced. So this is all a really extensive way of saying that ashwagandha increases your body's ability to be resilient to stress. And this is just one example of how something like exercise stress can be more well tolerated when you're supplementing with something like ashwagandha. So this is going to be beneficial for anybody though. So for me, I take ashwagandha prior to physical exercise to make my body more resilient to that exercise stress and mitigate any potential stress from exercise. So that way I can reap the pro-metabolic effects, the muscle building effects of exercise without going into a stress state. But you can also take ashwagandha to cope with any sort of stress. Anything that might be triggering a stress response for you, it could be work, it could be a relationship, it could be any sort of environment or situation, could be greatly alleviated by supplementing with ashwagandha. Basically, it will help your body be more biologically resilient to that stress, which I think is going to be very beneficial for most people. But there's also additional studies that talk about ashwagandha's anti-anxiety and antidepressant-like effects. A lot of the times people hear the word stress and they think of psychological stress, but there's many forms of stress. So ashwagandha does cover all bases in this regard. It helps to increase your resilience to all sorts of stress, including physiological stressors, but also psychological stressors. So anxiety and depression being forms of emotional or psychological stressors. And there's studies that conclude that ashwagandha can have an antidepressant-like effect, but it can also relieve anxiety upwards to the 50 percentile range. Moving along, the second major benefit to ashwagandha, that is a traditional benefit that has modern day science to back it, is its ability to support digestive health and function, and specifically have an anti-ulcer-like effect. So ashwagandha is a digestive tonic, just not the way you might think. It's not necessarily stimulating the secretion of digestive juices, but keep in mind that the digestive system is largely affected by your metabolism and more so your central nervous system. And ashwagandha is both a thyroid and nervine tonic. So by keeping you more in a relaxed parasympathetic state, it's going to ensure good digestion and prevent things like ulcerations, which can be induced by stress through the overactivation of the sympathetic nervous system or the flight or fight nervous system. And if we take a quick look at this study, it's been found that ashwagandha can be useful in the prevention of stress-induced ulcers of the gastrointestinal tract. It showed significant protection against all sorts of stress-induced ulcers, including aspirin-induced gastric ulcers. So if you're somebody who suffers from ulcers, or if you notice that you have stress-induced digestive upset or issues, ashwagandha could be a really great remedy. Moving along, the third major benefit of ashwagandha, and this is a very broad range benefit, but I'm going to try to sort of narrow it down to a specific point, which is its anabolic effects. So if you take a look at this study, ashwagandha was found to significantly increase the body weight of people who supplemented with it compared to those who did not in a 3-month period. Now, they're not referring to weight as in weight gain, unhealthy weight gain, like fat gain, but they're referring to lean muscle gain, which is a beneficial thing because muscle tissue is actually an incredible source of androgenic hormones. It's also an incredible source of glycogen or stored energy. So generally speaking, the more healthy lean muscle that you have compared to fat tissue, the faster your metabolism is going to be, which can be very protective in many ways and provide additional energy. So not only will you burn calories more efficiently, but you'll also generally produce energy more efficiently as well. Now, most of ashwagandha's anabolic effects come back to its hormone balancing effects. So as I talked about in previous videos, ashwagandha does increase the production of anabolic sex steroids like testosterone, progesterone, and other precursors, which shift the metabolism to a more anabolic, energetic state. So this is going to be beneficial not just for athletes and people trying to gain lean, healthy muscle, but generally anybody that wants to experience greater energy, have a more ideal body composition and body mass index. Another major benefit of ashwagandha that is traditionally known and clinically proven, but not so commonly talked about, is its anti-cancer and anti-tumor effects. According to research, the roots of ashwagandha have an inhibitory effect of about 49% on colony-forming efficiency of CHO cells, or Chinese hamster ovary cells, in cell carcinoma. It inhibits the cell growth and prevents cell attachment, and induced long-term growth inhibition of the carcinoma cells, which was dependent on the cell density and duration of ashwagandha exposure. Further research and studies have found that ashwagandha can inhibit and reduce tumor growth and has encouraging evidence that it is a remarkable herb that is extremely effective for treating tumor-type diseases, including cancer. Now, from my understanding and research, ashwagandha's anti-tumor and anti-cancerous effects have a lot to do with its immunomodulatory effects. So it can specifically modulate the immune system to increase its production of white blood cells and other immune cells that can help protect the body from cell abnormalities and damage that could lead to cancer. Moving along, another major benefit of ashwagandha is its cognitive enhancing effects. And there are actually a couple of different mechanisms behind ashwagandha's ability to improve cognitive function and ward off any sort of cognitive related disorders like Parkinson's. So first and foremost, as an anti-stress tonic, ashwagandha inhibits the production of cortisol, and cortisol is incredibly damaging to the brain. It can quite literally deteriorate the brain, resulting in brain aging that could lead to cognitive disorders. However, it has even been found in study that children with memory disorders, people that experience memory loss after an injury or trauma, or even just elderly people with memory issues experience relief and improvement by supplementing with ashwagandha. Now, according to chemical analysis, ashwagandha contains glycovitholinides, which are isolated from the roots, that can significantly reverse ibotenic acid-induced cognitive defects in Alzheimer's disease models. Furthermore, ashwagandha extract can actually prevent all the negative changes in antioxidant enzyme activities, including catecholamine content, dopaminergic D2 receptor binding, and tyrosine hydroxylase expression. And it also happens to be a powerful GABA agonist, meaning that it can mimic GABA in the body. In fact, the constituents and metabolites in ashwagandha are so powerful at mimicking GABA that they can promote the growth of new nerves after taking it for only 7 days. Another major benefit of ashwagandha that is also less commonly talked about is its anti-inflammatory and anti-arthritic effects. According to research, one of the active compounds in ashwagandha, known as dihydroethylenide, shows a promising antibacterial, anti-tumoral, immunomodulating, and anti-inflammatory property. So inflammation is highly implicated in things like arthritis and pain. But there's another aspect to pain in arthritic-like patients, which is the nervous system's response or reception to any sort of inflammation. And as a nervine tonic, if we take a look at this study, it's actually been found that ashwagandha has a soothing effect on the nervous system from the pain response. So ashwagandha is actually a really great herb for any sort of arthritic-like conditions or any inflammatory pain-related conditions, because it targets it from both ends. It targets the actual inflammation, but it also helps to soothe the nervous system and reduce your reception to the pain. One of the last benefits I want to cover in this video is ashwagandha's energy promoting effects. And there's a couple of different ways it can promote energy production. Going back to its anti-stress effect, as I mentioned, stress interferes with energy production. So this is why you tend to become fatigued and have low energy after bouts of stress. So by lowering stress, decreasing the production of stress hormones like cortisol, your body's going to naturally produce more energy. This will make you feel more energized. But if we take a look at this study, ashwagandha has an uncoupling effect on oxidative phosphorylation, which is the fancy term for energy metabolism and the whole metabolism's ability to produce energy. And it specifically has a direct effect on ATP biosynthesis. So it helps the body produce energy on a cellular level. However, I'm gonna end this video here because I'm pretty sure by now I've covered every well-documented benefit of ashwagandha. This video combined with this other video that I made here should cover every clinically studied or clinically proven benefit of ashwagandha that I can think of. So this video combined with that other video should give you everything you need to know about what ashwagandha can do for you in terms of helping you improve your health. If you've enjoyed this video and found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're new here and you want to see more videos just like this. And of course, if you're interested in learning more about ashwagandha's amazing benefits, or if you'd like to supplement with the highest quality ashwagandha on the market, known as Ashwagandha KSM 66, you can find that on our online tonic herb shop in the description box below.